Hi, this is Luna the Blonde, and this is my list of why the 2013 Doctor Who Christmas episode was crap. Unimportant planet wasn't Earth. If the Doctor knows Gallifreyan, how come he didn't actually understand the message? And why was everyone afraid of it if they also didn't understand Gallifreyan? The Doctor has been facing the Daleks since his very first incarnation, so how come he doesn't recognize the Dalek ship? Like seriously, he can know that the Satellite 51 the minute he steps off the TARDIS, but it takes him getting shot at to realize he's on a Dalek or a Cyberman ship. I mean, really. Where is the Handles backstory? I must know! This is more social blogging than anything, but his definition of OCD isn't actually OCD. I know it's a pop culture thing, but still. So the whole thing about hologram clothes, I'm really confused is when they're naked and when they're clothed. So when they were rolling around in the snow together, were they also naked? And when do they actually put on real clothes? Who can see the clothes? What's the point of having hologram clothes when... I don't understand. Weeping angels! Popping out of the snow like daisies! Not to mention the fact that they got a hold of Clara and then they didn't actually send her anywhere with no legitimate excuse of them being too weak or too scared or blah 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 blah. They just decided not to for the sake of plot. So the crack is back, even though it was closed in Big Bang 2. Not to mention, is that the crack that the Doctor came back from? And if so, why didn't the Gallifreyans just hitch stride when he was already on their side? Convenient. That's all it was. It was just convenient for the sake of plot. Clara actually didn't do anything. She literally did not do anything this episode. She arrived at Christmas, she had a couple lines, she got sent back home, she came back to Christmas just to get sent back home again. She literally did nothing. So when the Doctor ditches Rose, he leaves the TARDIS with her knowing that he will never be able to go back. But with Clara, he just ditches her and brings the TARDIS back, having her wonder for however long, because knowing the Doctor's track record, it could be centuries before he goes back to her, to leave her and have her wait for him. Wooden Cyberman. Really? Really? Not to mention, doesn't that just defeat the purpose of a Cyberman? They're cybernetic. How does it even work? The point of them is to convert them into Cybermen. So do they just grab a bunch of people and stuff them into pine boxes and then have them walk around and then be Cybermen? The truth field was a really stupid plot point because as soon as it was established, the Doctor kind of shatters it with all his lies and slander. Lies in the truth field number 1. It doesn't work on wood. Lie number 2. I've got a plan. How can Clara live 300 years in the time vortex and yet when Jack does it for 30 seconds, he dies? Matt Smith's Christmas episodes certainly like to paint him as Father Christmas, especially the first Christmas episode that he has when he's coming down the chimney and then riding around in a flying sleigh, and then this year when he's making his own toys and giving them to the children. It was implied that Barnacle died, but I was really hoping that he didn't. But I also kind of hoped that he had a whole bunch of children and that maybe this was like his grandchild, or even a line saying that, no, he was my great-grandfather, or something like that, would have been nice. But no, they just kind of gave Barnacle 2 lines and then did away with him. So now the Silents are genetically engineered too! Awesome! Let's see, what's our list of villains that are genetically engineered? The Daleks, the Centauran, the Cybermen, and now the Silents! Yay! Alliteration! Except Daleks, but they're Daleks! Oh, look, the Daleks know about the Doctor again. The Doctor not only lied and left Clara once, but he did it twice in the same episode, in the span of like 5 minutes! Who in the hell are these people at Clara's house? I mean, we know it's not her mom. Is the dude her dad or brother or uncle or something? And then the other lady, is that like a stepmom? Or what? I understand Granny because she's hilarious. Give her her own spin-off show and just sass in the Doctor, please. That would be great. But then the other two, I'm just like, who are you guys? You're kind of weird. The TARDIS won't let Clara on and gives her sass for her first half of the season, and yet it allows a human Dalek on board? And the human Dalek can fly the TARDIS? Speaking from experience, who knows a little bit about wood carving, it takes a lot more energy and hand-eye coordination to do wood carvings than it is to pull a Christmas cracker. I mean, like, come on. Maybe it's just my Google skills have failed me, but I cannot find the poem Through the Clock by Eric Richard Jr. I can't. Did they just make it up for the sake of plot convenience and symbolism? Okay, Matt Smith's old man limp and just old man get up, no. Stop, honey. Stop. Not to mention, when he does get his regeneration energy and he starts blowing Dalek ships to pieces, he makes it back to the TARDIS and he looks like a 12-year-old again. Why did he regenerate back into his young self just to regenerate again? I'm pretty sure that's not how regeneration works. I know they just wanted to give him a puppy face and a, "Oh, Amy, I'm so glad to see you again" hallucination. But seriously, guys. What about all the regeneration energy that River gave him? If this is where I end up, then what about all the extra energy that River gave him? I know she kind of jump-started his heart, but does it really take 13 regenerations? And the whole thing about the 13th regeneration is just kind of bullshit, because the Master has come back a shit ton of times more than that. They had a whole movie dedicated on it. They've had whole season plots dedicated on it. It's not a new thing that you can get around your whole 13th regeneration rule. And not to mention, in Sarah Jane Adventures, it stated that he clearly had over 300 regenerations, so obviously that was a joke. Amy Pond hallucinations. Amy freaking Pond. Amy freaking Pond. Without Rory. When you look at some of the older doctors and their regenerations, they think about all of their companions. Let's take, for example, the 4th Doctor, the 5th Doctor, the 8th Doctor, and Tennant. They all thought of all of their companions, even the ones that have never really stepped into the TARDIS for much more than, 5 seconds. He goes and he sees them. And yet, when Matt Smith regenerates, the only one he thinks about is Amy Pond, even though he had Rory and River Song to think about as well. Probably because they already gave River Song a nice farewell, but it would have been nice to see, the whole family together again for one last time. How does he know the color of his kidneys? Or maybe he's just being like spazzy brains, where he's like, "Oh no, my kidneys!" and then he's commenting on the fact that maybe he's colorblind. And I'm really, really upset that my hand cannon didn't work. They ruined my head cannon. It was beautiful. I said firecracker crap.